From ABC News headquarters, this is World News with Charles Gibson.
Good evening. There have been no shortage of heart-rending stories in recent months of veterans wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan who've received poor care back in the States when they return to their local communities. President Bush heard many of those stories and recently appointed a commission to come up with recommendations to improve wounded veteran care. Today, the panel said fundamental changes are needed. Our Bob Woodruff has uncovered and reported many of those stories. The panel report echoes many of his findings.
Wounded heroes.
Just 4 months after it was created, commission leaders presented their findings to the president.
We owe a wounded soldier the very best care and the very best benefits, and the very easiest to understand system.
A system exposed as understaffed, underfunded, and under pressure from an unexpected flow of severely injured troops.
We knew that the system had some problems, and we also knew that Band-Aids were not going to cut it.
The commission said big changes were needed, including create a recovery plan for every injured veteran, extend the Family Leave Act to allow relatives to care for an injured service member for up to 6 months without losing their jobs, create a website that centralizes all the information about benefits for vets and their families. Veterans groups said the findings should be a wake-up call.
This report is really an indictment of the American military healthcare system.
This is just the latest in a long list of similar reports that have not fixed the problem. 34 by the Government Accountability Office, 11 previous commissions dating back half a century, all calling for changes in the military healthcare system. It's a system that failed Sergeant Michael Boothby. He suffered a traumatic brain injury from a roadside bomb. When he was transferred from a VA hospital in Tampa to a facility near his Texas home, his condition got worse.
Do you see a big difference between being back in Tampa, for example, and being back here?
Yeah. He was doing better in Tampa. We should have never left Tampa. They weren't ready for us here.
The big question is whether this latest set of recommendations will get the system ready for the tens of thousands of injured veterans.
Would you like to have seen this done 3 years ago instead of now?
Oh, maybe 10 years ago. You know, I'm going to be checking in with the White House like tomorrow.
You're going to keep pushing them to get.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they told me. If we find something, let's fix it. Okay, we found it. Now let's fix it.
The president jogged today with amputees from Iraq and Afghanistan and vowed he would take the commission's recommendations seriously. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Washington.
The president did praise the panel report. However, the White House said no changes in veterans' care should be expected right away. Incidentally, reporting this story, Bob was in the Oval Office today, and Mr. Bush made a point of noting his presence.
I also want to recognize Bob Woodruff here. He is he himself was wounded, severely wounded, and went through the system to a certain extent. And we welcome you back, and we're glad you're with us. And we would hope that any wounded soldier, any person in uniform, would receive the kind of care and the ability to return to work, just like you have done.